One of the reasons I also started giving their flowers was also to give myself flowers because for the life of me, I didn't know how to say, Chelsea, I love you. Like, I'm proud of how far you've come. And that was a result of things I had been through where, like, I was told, like, man, no, you ain't this, you ain't that. You know what I'm saying? Or just oftentimes putting myself to the side, especially when you deal with stuff like physical or mental abuse, um, the result is that you don't know you got to relearn how to love yourself.
This is Sad Boy Radio.
What's the word, everybody? Welcome back to Sad Boy Radio. I'm your host, Matt, and today, man, we got a very special guest here. I'm very happy we finally got to make this happen. Man, you're known for your handcrafted crochet work. Worked with G Herbo, plenty of other artists. You know, I got to shout out Kalia X. We had her on.
That's my girl.
You hosted workshops with Nike. You've had your work displayed all over the place. We can go down the list, but RuPaul's Drag Race. You're the owner and mastermind behind House of Chelsea B.
Mm-hmm.
Man, introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Chelsea B. I would consider myself a multidisciplinary artist. I just so happen to be known for my crochet work, and I'm from Chicago, and that's it. I don't know.
The intro always gets people. They always are like, "Well, you said everything."
Right? I'm like, you said everything. What could I say? But yeah, we've done some cool stuff. I've accomplished the goal that I set out to do, which was shift representation within the textile and fiber art space. And I just get to continue to do that. And we get cooler and cooler. The work grows and the collabs get bigger and bigger. So
talk about that a little bit, right? The representation in what way?
I mean, Black people of color. When I started crocheting when in 2013. Really, one of my homeroom teachers taught me. Shout out Miss Meg McGivney. I plug her every single time. But with that being said, when I first learned, and I went off to college, it was just a predominantly white space, and all you saw was blankets, baby shoes, hats. The normal stuff, scarves. And in my head, I was like, why not? Like, why can't we people of color take up space and show that we can make this cooler? And obviously in the beginning, I got so many like side eyes. I was told I was a granny, all of things. And then especially being from Chicago, back when I look back in the day, I'm not that old, but back then, weird was just, different was weird. I was always the odd one out. And then also there was not really a blueprint in Chicago for artists, or it wasn't. Now I'm glad to say years later, we have a huge creative community. But back then it wasn't like that. And so I just want to change the game, literally. And that meant like, I want to come in here and I want to show y'all that this can be cool and we can dominate. We can dominate, and we can shift what crochet or textiles is globally. And we can shift culture. That's honestly what I wanted to do. I wanted to shift culture and redefine what textiles and fiber arts really could be.
And it even comes in through your mission statement, right? When you go to your website, her mission to change the narrative of crochet. I want to shift the opinions of those that believe crafts, fine art, and urban attire cannot be bridged together. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that entering the space and you were a huge minority? It wasn't just being the minority, it was a huge minority. Do you feel that deterred you more than it motivated you?
It for sure motivated me. Granted, it made me nervous, but that just comes with it when you're doing something that ain't never been done before. So it motivated me so much because number one, I have a little bit of athletic background. So in my head, it's like I'm knocking off PRs every time I hit a milestone. So no, it didn't necessarily deter me. It didn't necessarily make me want to shy away. It just made me want to bust down the door or like create what that door or that seat was. It is now.
You made it cool. You made it a cool thing to be, right?
Yeah.
You were saying you did something for the Chicago Bulls. you got some special things in the works for, man, a special year in Chicago. So
Moving into 2026, I'm kind of feel like I'm kind of rebuilding what the infrastructure of my brand looks like, but just bringing people more into my world and the visions and ideas that I have outside of just fashion. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for people to see like what I got cooking up.
what are some of those things?
You know, people always would say like, "Oh, Chelsea, you're a crocheter." Cool. That's like one thing, but I'm an artist at the end of the day. That's how I stepped into this industry, this world, as just an artist. And the crochet kind of took on a mind of its own, but bringing people back into the artist side of me. I've done this theme, Give Them Their Flowers, for about 4 years. I started it in 2022. I did a merch collection honoring my great grandmother and my great uncle Spurgeon Jake Winters, and that was because they passed away before I was born, and I never was able to give them their flowers. And their legacy and their story is a huge part of why I am who I am today. And then the next year, I did the Give Them Their Flowers fashion show, and that was me honoring my community. So it was honoring my ancestors, those who came before me, and then this was me in 2023 honoring my community, Chicago, those who have supported me. And I wanted to give them their flowers. And then 2024, I did a documentary with my good friend Christian Loggins, and that was me honoring myself and my inner child. And then what is it, 2024? Ooh, I did. I did the doc, and then I skipped 2025. But I want to do some form of an exhibition where I honor the time and memories that have shaped my career, you know? So there's there's some objects in there, some art things. I won't say too much. But
No, you're good. There's so many things with the Give Them Their Flowers that we're gonna touch on because we got a whole section for that.
Oh my
And you're
goodness.
breaking it down right now.
Mhm.
It shows how purposeful it is and how intentional it is, right? It's not just this thing that, hey, this is a cool symbolism I could use. No, there's intention behind it and behind every single part of it. So I love that.
Thank you.
Some question that I did have that popped up, I forgot about it. I just remembered it though, was, how was it these people that you never even met were so influential on your life?
It's crazy because I wasn't like I heard about them. You know, my family would talk about them, but when it pertained to the stuff that I was interested in, I'm talking about just like the art side and community side, they didn't necessarily have those answers. And it took for me to research about them and just continue to ask those questions. In the Black household, right? When it's hard subjects to talk about your family, the family don't usually say too much. They're like, "Oh yeah, that was great grandma such and such, and then she was this, that, and third." But they don't say, "Oh no, this is what she did. This is how she passed," et cetera, et cetera. So, with my great grandmother, like all I heard was that she was just this tough lady. You know what I'm saying? She was this tough lady, came out of Chicago. But when I picked up the crochet hook, years later when I was a senior in college, that's when my family finally told me that she was a crocheter. So this whole time, I'm thinking I'm by myself. I'm thinking that nobody understands me. And it's almost like when I found out that she did what it is that I'm doing, it felt like it gave me a purpose to continue. Like I can't stop now because what if I'm living out the dreams? What if I'm living out her wildest dreams, that she couldn't live, and grateful enough before my aunt had passed her daughter, I was gifted a blanket of hers and I keep it. I've brought it to set with me sometime, not here, but I've brought it to like Nike sets and things like that. One of my first ads I did, it was in the background, that's like an Easter egg of mine. But I felt like I found myself. I felt like my purpose was granted to me a little bit more. And then with my great uncle, he was a part of the Illinois chapter Black Panther Party. And sadly, he was killed at the age of 19. But when I found out what he did and like how influential he was in the Black Panther Party, it just also gave me purpose. I found out what he did, I think 2020, after I had graduated from college in 2019. And I learned about how a medical care center was named after him, how him, I don't know because it's gonna go up on YouTube, but how he, learned how to shoot and things like that, or how he was taught from his father how to shoot and all of that, how that played into how the Black Panther Party began to educate on gun control and things like that. And then learning about how he passed. Again, they walked so I could run. So I have no other reason but to keep going. I can't give up.
How did he become so influential at only just 19 years old?
I wish I can talk to him and see. I wish, but like I hear stories. The crazy thing is, I didn't even hear all of these stories until I want to say, I don't know. Have you heard of the movie Judas and the Black Messiah?
For the sake of the story, I have.
Oh,
no,
you have?
no, I haven't.
Okay, no, but there's a scene in there, of him, being killed. Like his character is played by I'm about to mess this name. Algie Smith, and so I began to meet with Fred Hampton Jr. and start finding members that was a part of the Black Panther Party. And they began to tell me what he did. And I'm like, Dad, my family didn't know nothing about this. My family didn't know nothing about this. The only kind of story that I recall that my grandma told me was about when they went to go view his body and how his body looked and things like that. But learning about the influential things that he did in the community was me just on my own investigative journalism of figuring out who he was. Yeah, I wish I could talk to him and figure out like how. Because one of my first jobs out of college, I was a creative director for this nonprofit activist group called Urban Reformers. And so in that work, that's when I was like, okay, we in the streets. Like, now I need to understand my history a little bit more. And so that's when I started doing some deep dives into who he was.
Sometimes that's how it goes when it uncovers parts of your identity and who you are. With me, my family, my immediate family, my parents, my dad's from Mexico, but his ass does not claim Mexico whatsoever.
Really? He like Mexico? No.
He, he likes the music, but growing up, that wasn't the music he would play. I really didn't, and it's so weird when I talk about how I grew up with my dad, because my parents are together. Like, he was around, but like he was always working. So the only time I'd see him is on the weekend. So when I talk about it, I'm like, yeah, I used to hang out with my dad on the weekends. People probably think like, are your parents not together type shit? You know what I'm saying?
No, but he's a worker.
Yeah. So that was the relationship we had. So I grew up a lot hanging out with my mom. My mom didn't like Spanish music and all that stuff. So when it came to having that like Latin identity, it wasn't something that I really grew up with and had a chance to, grow into. It was something I discovered once I got into high school and I was exploring the music and the culture. And that's where like my love for it really came from. But I always felt that connection, right? But sometimes you just got to go and find that on your own.
You got to do that self-discovery.
You mentioned that now you're able to do all these things that you think that your grandma wished you would have been able to do. For you, what was the significance of completing campaigns with these larger than life brands, so to speak?
It was a dream come true. We grew up living in shelters and stuff. My mama couldn't afford Jordans. My mama couldn't really afford Nikes. I'm talking about Payless, thrift stores, family members having to donate clothes and stuff to us. And so to be able to make some of my family's wildest dreams come true, like, that's what it is. It's a dream come true that I'm able to do something that ain't never been done before for them. Like, so, and it's just all for me having a hobby. Like, this is a God flow. This is not my flow. This was not, if somebody would have told me years ago, oh, you're gonna stop doing sports. You're going to stop for the track. You're going to pick up a crochet hook and that's going to change your whole life. I would have laughed, right? But sometimes you tell God your plan and he laugh at you. And I'm glad he laughed. I'm happy he laughed because if it was up to me, I would have been too scared. I would have shied away. But the fact that I'm again, like I said, living out a dream that she probably had, it's amazing. It just feels like on the hard days, I can't give up. Like, I literally can't.
Man, I got chills.
I didn't go through what I went through. And I'm not even talking about just career stuff and all the no's and the door slamming in my face. But like, I didn't go through what I went through, like past traumas, you know, all of those things just for it to not mean something. My life and what I've been through, that's my testimony. And I have no reason to give up. I have to keep going.
We're going to have so much to talk about. But what I want to ask you before we get to, you know, the nitty gritty for real.
Lord.
How did the success you've had within this industry so far validate your purpose within design?
It just goes to show you, you don't have to have all the puzzle pieces. You don't have to have all the right methods. You don't have to have all the answers. As long as you start and as long as you try, the rest is history.
This is just like what we were talking about right now, right?
Hey, for real. When I was asking, like, how you know what I'm saying?
It doesn't start off perfect. And that's what I tell people all the time. And I keep talking about this every week. And, you know, I'm sure whoever watches every week is tired of hearing this shit. But it's like, we were never supposed to make it this far. This wasn't something that I told myself, like, hey, like I did tell myself I'm going to get rich off this. I did tell myself I want to be famous off this. But whoever was watching at the beginning, they probably thought, oh, this man's just doing this to do it. And I kept going. And my videos that were getting 100 views one day turned into 10,000 views, and 10,000 views turned into 100,000, and then 100 turned into 1 million. And I've been telling everybody recently, I'm like, man, it's a good time to be Sad Boy Radio nowadays. Because I go out now and people are like, oh, you want a shot? You like, you know, they're showing love now, but it wasn't like that at first. And it was never supposed to be like that. So
literally,
genuinely, like, God bless, like, and it's God's will that, like, I've been able to continue to do this, because there were times where my producer stopped showing up because he couldn't help me out no more. I got a new producer. My new producer couldn't show up no more, and I had the intern ready to go. The intern left, and at that point, I knew what to do by myself. And then, you know, again, God bless, I got my new intern. Unfortunately, he's not here today, but okay. he's a good one, you know? But
that's purpose.
There's a reason why all that happened. It wasn't just because I had the will to do it. It's because God placed the resources and the people I needed in my life at that time. And each one of them stepped up when I needed them most. And for that, like, I'll forever be grateful for everybody that helped me through those times, because it took all of that for me to be able to get to sit down with you and to sit down with everybody that comes through and, you know, to achieve what I achieved.
It's a purpose-driven walk, you know. It's literally like a God flow. If it was just me, you know what I'm saying, or me just doing it by myself, I probably wouldn't see what almost 12, almost 13 years of like crocheting, 10 taking a risk on entrepreneurship. But shout out to God. It was God's plan. One of my favorite scriptures is, don't worry about anything, instead pray about all things. And I'll be in deep prayer, like, God, what you got next? So like, Lord, I don't know how this is gonna happen, but I trust you. I didn't, like, even, what was it, today? Oh no, even on the hard days, I'm like, God, I'm sad, but I trust your plan. God, I'm grieving about what didn't happen, but I trust your plan, because you never failed, even when it wasn't what I wanted, but it's what I needed. You know, and if I got what I wanted, would I have been prepared for the now? No. But I am prepared now.
If you got what you wanted when you wanted it, it was God's will. God's only going to give you things that he knows you can handle at that time. And rejection is redirection.
Exactly.
So, man, you know, my bad. I don't mean to take away from you, but
you good.
Even with that being said, right, when it comes to me looking for a different job, there was a job I was set up to get. They didn't even give me the interview. And I was like, okay, that's okay, because that's God's will. And whatever's meant for me is meant for me. And shit, after that, we kind of turned up more. So it is what it is.
For real. Hey, it's so funny you say that, because I remember when I had just graduated from college. And had just graduated from college. I was going through post-grad depression. And I'm like, God, I ain't got no money. I ain't got no internship lined up. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, you ain't bring me this far, man, for me to just be, just going through what I'm going through right now. And literally, God was like, get your butt up and go downtown. I'm like, God, I only got probably like $10, bro. And you telling me to take this and just go somewhere. Anyway, make a long story short, I walked my way into a job. And then that was the same day I discovered the Nike Lab. And I just would show up. I had no money. Like I was working as a display artist for this brand called Altered State. And crazy enough, I wasn't even gonna go in there. I was like, man, retail job. I don't know. Whole time they had like this display artist position, and literally when I went in for my interview, I thought I was going for like a retail position. And it's like, no, you want to come on display artist? Oh snap! And then literally that positioned me so I can go to the Nike Lab like every day and meet the people that I met. And I wasn't getting paid to go to the Nike Lab. It was just purely for the sake of fun. But then COVID hit and I was like, dang, I was really moving with them. I started being like, I did like workshops and stuff there. This was even before I got a partnership or anything with them. But COVID happened and I was like, dang, God dang. That's bogus. No. But then I ended up discovering TikTok and that took off. But then literally probably like 3 years later, I was going through, my car got repossessed, all these things, car accident, it was so much going on. But literally when I fully surrendered, I was like, okay, God, I'm taking my hands off. I'm not even going to control anything. I kid you not. I think the next like week or so after that, I got an email about partnering with Nike for their 40th, the anniversary of the Air Force One, the 40th anniversary for the Air Force One. And that was like my first big contract I ever had. And I was like, dag. I was like, wow. Not even dag. I was like, wow, I went through all that. I went through all of that, but you worked it out for my good. So I just go back to, what's meant for you is meant for you. It look a little ugly, but it works out. I'm telling you, I'm talking about no money, nothing on my car. Jesus.
What was the moment that got you to that point that really made you say, this is you?
Man, I was driving to work. I was working as a home care aide. I had got into a car accident. Like, I got into a car accident that summer while I was doing this like Nike school program. We was like designing shoes or something. And I didn't have anything, but got into a car accident. Wasn't making much money. And I was trying to hold on to this car because I think my insurance wasn't honoring my accident claim or something. And I'm driving to work to this job. And I'm like, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be working this job. And it literally breaks down on me. Because I was like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to get a car up. I'm going to just keep going. I'm going to drive. And I held on to my car for like 4 or 5 months. Literally, car breaks down in the middle of the street. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I start praying. I'm like, God, can you please I just need to get to work. I got to get across town to work, And literally in a quick moment, the car starts. I get to work. I come back out to work. My car don't start. We had to get the car towed. And it just wasn't working after that. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And I remember God was just like, go ahead and surrender. It's time to get this up. Because for me, I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest out of my siblings. My parents, my mom, them, they, looked me. And I'm used to having all the answers. And that comes with, like, I just could control everything. Like, not control everything, but, like, I have to have an answer and a plan for everything. And so I'm used to just my plans working, or I can work myself out of something. But in that moment, I couldn't work myself out of it. I had no money to use to fix this problem. I didn't have anything. Like, even my mental health, I'm just down bad. And I'm like, okay, it's not my will. I don't have the strength to fix this, right? Granted, I've been through worse, but in that moment, I was like, I don't have anything I can't work myself out of this. I can't do anything. And I literally was like, okay, God. And at that point, my dreams I ain't had no job in the industry. The plans that I thought I was having with the Nike thing just didn't work out at the time when I thought it was supposed to work out. Yeah. I just like, I give up. At this point, I give up, Lord. You do you. And then he was like, I bet. Now we about to take off.
You really have to follow it. You have to follow through on it. It's not just take the wheel. Like
Obedience.
it is really followed through. And man, it's a little hard for me to talk about this one because there was a point where I was getting it together. I was going to the gym, going to church, doing all the things that help you improve in life. And then I went back to bad habits. And I went back to the bad habits, and I started noticing like that thing that you were on the way to get, like
Strip you.
hold off a little bit, right? And I can't say whether that was God doing his thing, right? Because only he knows what he's doing. But for me, I noticed the changes that were happening, and then the changes that happened after I went back. So it really is a thing of obedience. Keep walking in that purpose and keep doing what you're supposed to, because that could be taken away at any minute.
Literally.
And you ended up here because of a prayer, right? You mentioned earlier that you were a track star. You weren't just a track athlete, you were a track star.
Yeah. Not many people know that unless you like talk to me or like you went to high school with me. But I was like that on the track. However, I was only running track because it was helping me deal with like past traumas, childhood traumas and things. And I always felt like when I was on the track, I was flying. Nobody could catch me. I'm not running to just beat you. I'm running to fight these demons, right? I'm running to just feel a moment of breath, quiet the noise. But it wasn't. I didn't necessarily see myself in the Olympics. I feel like if I would have kept going, I probably would have done something like that. But literally my senior year, I'm like, yeah, no, I want to do something for me. People don't know when you're a student athlete, especially when you're good, it's a lot of pressure on you. Like I was running probably like 3-4 races of me. Got the team on my back. I'm talking about MVP every single year, the medals, all the things. Trying to set records for my school. But I wasn't necessarily fully happy because I was just living out a dream for other people. But yeah, my senior year, I'm like, I want to take a chance at this art thing. And I honestly felt like I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And I took a leap of faith. It was a fight during my senior year. I know the new Noble Network is cool, but the old Noble Network they was something else. They would speak about college of your choice, but when it came to actually, this is the college of my choice, it was so much backlash. And I had, some teachers coming up to me like, your dreams is worth it. Like, you may not be able to buy a house. You may be eating ramen noodles for the rest of your life. And that sounds very crazy for somebody to say, but I was told a lot of those things. But I wasn't scared. Like in the face of everybody, I said, no, I have faith. I feel like God told me to do this. Like this is where he led me. And I prayed, and one day I signed up for an in-person tour. And I think 2 days before the tour, I told my mom, shout out to my mom. I told my mom, I'm like, Mama, we got to go down to this school. And when I stepped onto the campus, it was almost like God had answered my prayer. And I said, I got to go. And SCAD was the first school that accepted me. So at my high school, you would apply to all of these colleges, and the first college acceptance that you get, it's like a ceremony. You get this like red polo, all the things. And all of my friends, they knew I wanted to go to this school. They knew like this was my dream school, everything. So when I got accepted into probably, I think it was like the last college that I've applied for, I'm talking about worked hard to do my portfolio, all the things. I'm talking about fighting with college counselors for them to make sure that I get this application in. When I found out that was the first school I got accepted into, I said, glory be to God, because that means I got to go. And I went. Yeah, graduated.
You got a lot there. We're going to back it up a little bit. But, to begin, is because you took the complete left field option, right? And left field for everybody else. Although this is something that had been planted inside of you from a young age, you're spectacular everywhere else. You're spectacular as a student. You're spectacular as an athlete. And when that happens, there's expectations and impressions of who you're supposed to be that are placed onto you from others, right? So with that happening, now it's kind of like, well, I had this thing when I was younger. Well, I don't want to be what everybody else expects me to be. I was similar to you. I was this student that had A's and B's. My life was mapped out from preschool to college. Once I graduated college, I had to figure out, well, what the fuck do I do now? Right? Because my identity was a student. My identity was being this amazing, intelligent person, but I was book smart. But there were so many different aspects of my personality that never got to shine because I was that student, right? You had a whole bunch of expectations placed on you from not only this team, but you mentioned being the oldest and needing to have the answers. How much of that mentally impacted you?
Recently, I think the past year or two, my mom, she actually like apologized to me. Like she was like, I'm so sorry that like I didn't support you. I didn't give you as much support as I did like your twin brother, you know, and that's because she just saw that I had it together, like grades, balancing being an athlete and a student. I'm talking about in church, in the choir. You know what I'm saying? Working the job, all the things. And so that kind of, I never really went against what like my parents, my grandparents wanted. But in that moment, I was like, I want to choose me. I want to choose me, but also you feel that weight because it's like, this got to work. Like, if I do this, that means that I'm risking it all because this has to work, or else I probably failed. But failure ain't in my DNA. But no, it was just it's a lot of weight. I mean, even now, like, although that was like high school, but even now, me as an adult, there's still the pressures of getting it right because I got people looking up to me, and now I have a niece, and I'm accomplishing things that my family ain't never seen accomplished. That means that I got to get it right. I mean, I guess there's a lot of unwanted pressure, but in my head, it's like I'm the oldest. I got to make sure I'm setting the right example. You know what I'm saying? So that they don't fail.
And you're used to it now.
Yeah, I'm used to it now. It's a lot.
I'm not gonna lie, low key. I think I felt very similar to you when I was younger. I'm not the oldest. I'm the second oldest, but
How many siblings?
3.
I'm the oldest on my mom's side. On my dad's side, I'm the second oldest. So on my mom's side, it is 4 of us. And then on my dad's side, it's 7 of us in total.
So yeah, I noticed that I felt a similar way, and that's kind of where the decision came of, well, let's be smart, because there was always what I wanted and what I knew I needed to do. I wanted to go to school in California. I knew the smart thing to do was go to UIC. And I think that pressure to make the right decision kind of has faded away more so now because I'm older, but also, man, my sister, the youngest one, she's the golden child.
Oh, for real?
That girl,
You're not the black sheep,
that girl gonna take us out the hood. We're not in the hood,
Hey,
but
shout out, sis.
she's gonna make life very different.
Shout out. Look, that's him. Look, my little brother, he do his thing. I'm like, he's smart financially, all the things. You go make sure we all good.
That girl, she got a 33 on her ACT and went to sleep. I'm like, dude. But she wants to get into Broadway and acting. Oh. So I'm like, damn, like,
she's smart though.
She's smart as fuck.
She's smart. Look, smart.
And yet she still wants to go the creative route. I'm like,
that's my little. I'm telling you, this Joker, great. I'm scholar. He can literally learn something real quick. Ace it. I'm talking about learning different networks and the computer stuff. He be telling me stuff, and I'm like, you work as the engineer, dude. Like, you work as the engineer, you know how to account. You're a great accountant, all of them things, but he does music, and I'm rooting for him. So, and I feel like that's the funny thing because my mom, like, she was like, man, you going to college, da-da-da. And so my little brother, I took the route of, well, you don't necessarily have to finish if you don't want to. Like,
oh my gosh.
She finished. But I was like, if college ain't working for you, then you should. Then it's like, okay, because you got other routes. Thank God he finished, because I was like, dude, you almost done.
And she said, I got you. If you don't finish, I got you.
I'm like, you got an example now. Like, I mean, but also I did go to college. But the reason why I went to that specific college is because I went with a purpose for what I wanted to do with network. However, I'm like, on top of that, you got a big sis who doing it a little bit. So like we can figure things out.
Do you think part of you going away and going to that school was running away from the past problems and whatever you had to shoulder, right? Because you mentioned that with track was fighting your demons. You were fighting them or you were running from them?
You know what? That's good. Hey, I didn't know you was gonna flip the script on me like that. Heck, I'm like, I need to go talk to my therapist about this.
This hood therapy.
Look, this is hood therapy.
I need to start like actually marketing it as that for when people show up.
This is what this is. I'm gonna say no. My reason for going away is because I feel like I needed a different scenery. You know, like I don't know if I said this earlier, but I didn't have necessarily a blueprint, and I knew I was different, and so I needed to get around different people, and I also needed to see what else was out there for me. In Chicago, sometimes you just get wrapped up in the cycle of like, we have everything here. We have so much eclectic things, and there's the downtown and the Chinatown, and we got this school here and that thing there. But I'm not growing. So I knew I wanted to go away because I needed a different experience. I needed to be exposed to things outside of my city and what could be the new possibilities of life for me. So I said, I'm finna go to the Harvard art schools and figure it out. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily running away. Part of it was like, I needed a little bit of different exposure and experience, but also I'm ready to prove these people wrong that said I couldn't do it.
She brought out that athlete in her.
It's crazy because when I was in art school, they used to be like, man, how you completing this so fast? Or like, why you just so, like, how you come up with the stuff you come up with? I'm like, because it's me versus me. And a lot of times, especially in track, it's kind of like you versus your fastest time, you versus your PR. And so for me, that's how I looked at my art career. It's me versus me. So what's the next PR I can do? Like, how can I be better? A lot of self-assessing, you know? Yeah, I approach my artwork and stuff kind of like an athlete. Like, how can I get better? You know, yeah, it hurts or it may feel like it sucks on this day, but it's okay. If I get through it, that means I'm taking a step to the next greatest version of myself.
I feel like you kind of answered this question with that response, but I'm going to ask it anyways. What lessons did you learn in track that had carried over into your art?
Choose your heart, number one. Because whatever you do and you're trying to achieve, there is going to be portions of that in that journey that's going to be hard. So it's either you get over it or you just going to stay stagnant. Number two is me versus me. I said just before. It's literally you versus you. Also with athletics and any type of fitness thing, it's almost like you have to fall in love with the pain. And for me, the pain in art or pursuing this entrepreneurship, whatever, is that there's people that's going to doubt you. There's people that's going to say no's to you. There's people who will make fun of you. And that's the pain. So it's like, sit in that, but get over it. Like, you have to learn how to fall in love with that because that's the only way that you're gonna become your greatest self, right? And so same thing with athletics. Child, bench pressing. I gotta run this 400. I gotta run a mile because I also did cross country in the fall. So like I'm running miles and I hate. Me and my coach, boy, I'm running. I'm like, she's like, Chelsea, go. I'm like, can you be quiet? Because I'm trying to focus. This hurts. But no, it helps you fall in love with the pain because honestly, that's what life is. Life be lifing, and that's the pain. And so if you're a great athlete or you've ever done some type of sports, it teaches you how to cope with the pain because that's the only way you get better. You gotta know what that hurt feel like. Once you know what hurt feel like, once you know what the difficulty is, once you know what adversity feels like, and you get past that, can't nothing stop you.
Man, that's a real star right there, right? Because the people who are the ones that overcome all of those challenges are the ones that are going to succeed. The ones that make those sacrifices and say, and again, I'm guilty of this lately where I'll allow myself to overindulge in different things and not focus as hard on what I know I need to be doing.
I've been guilty. You be scrolling. You like, I'ma just eat. Like I was supposed to be in the gym today. I literally was like, you know what? I'm gonna sit in here. That's not a great habit. Like, as long as we don't make this a habit, but yeah, it get like that.
How have you flipped that pain into making it something beautiful when it comes to your art?
One of the reasons I also started giving their flowers was also to give myself flowers, because for the life of me, I didn't know how to say, Chelsea, I love you. Like, I'm proud of how far you've come. And that was a result of things I had been through, where like I was told, like, man, no, you ain't this, you ain't that. You know what I'm saying? Or just oftentimes putting myself to the side, especially when you deal with stuff like physical or mental abuse, um, the result is that you don't know you got to relearn how to love yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so a part of me reprogramming and loving myself is me being able to confidently tell the stories of the things that I've been through, confidently telling my testimony through my work, not necessarily with the words, but more so of a stitch or color, right? That's me reloving myself. And that love turns into me being able to put this beautiful artwork into the world. And so, yeah, that's how I flip it. It's my storytelling. Like, and I think that's the greatest thing ever, because people talk about AI and all that. I'm like, but AI can't never take away the internal person. AI can't never take away the story that you got to tell. AI can't never take away my testimony. Like, that's what it is. And that's how my work becomes the greatest version that it can be.
The struggle with having to reprogram yourself after even subconsciously developing those thoughts about yourself, because consciously you don't really think, like, you're going through these things and to you it's okay, well, this is my everyday life, so I'm used to it. I don't see the effects of it until that thing is completely out of your life and you start to get into new relationships with people. You start to see how you interact with people and how it's changed, and you're kind of like,
What the heck is wrong with me?
yeah. I use the example a lot, like, even jokingly, when you're with somebody, you kind of like throw jabs at each other sometimes. You're like, oh, well, blah blah blah, whatever. And it reprogrammed the way that I thought about myself, to the point where once I started building something new with somebody else, I would be like, why the fuck are you even here? I'm like, I'm not that great, and I'm not even that great to you particularly. So why are you still here?
You subconsciously push him away.
For the life of me, I really could not figure out, like, why are you still here? Because if it was the other way around, I would think I would have left.
Wow. Maybe they knew what love was. Maybe they had like that's just that unconditional love. And maybe it was like a mirror to like the fact that you still got some loving to do in yourself.
Because again, I started this at 21. So at 21, I thought I could do no wrong in the world. I thought I was like the main character for
You
real.
thought your shit ain't stink.
I thought I was the main character. So, the conversations prior to being with these people would be, well, I'm not really there, and I don't think I could give you as much as you want. So if you find that elsewhere, go ahead and take that, because I'm not going to provide that. So this is why these were the conversations. These were the conversations being had. So I'm like, why the fuck are you still here?
Now I'm like, Chad, what was y'all doing? He said go. But some people can be they see a lot of potential. And sometimes their potential could lead to delusion.
You have to believe people when they show you who they are.
Hey, for real. Hey, I'm guilty of not believing somebody when they show me who they... For real, I'm so guilty of that in the beginning. Now I'm like, oh, okay, this is what it is. All right, cool, we good. Like, I'm mature enough to be like, okay, I'm walk away, but I love you. I mean, whether that's a romantic or whatever, but I'm like, okay, cool. I understand. I get who you are, and that's okay. And I think it also takes maturity to understand that, like, you ain't wrong. Like, y'all don't necessarily have to have a toxic ending or toxic vibes or whatever. For you to just say, no, I'm just good. You good with who you are, and I'm good with who I am. Like, maybe it's not the right time. Or maybe that's just how you are, and this is how I am. And our A and B just does not work together, and that's okay. That just means we're on different. We vibing at two different rates, or like our acceleration is at two different speeds, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Or like, that's your life path. This is my life path, and we good. At least this was just a season, and I got to know you, and maybe the silver lining in it is that I discovered a little bit more about myself, and maybe you did too.
What did it take for you to learn that and to finally accept that?
It was a relationship that I was in, and I wanted it to work so bad. I did. I'm talking about it was just this whole I was this hopeless romantic, like, oh my gosh, he found me so many years later. And wow, it's gonna be so great. His parents this, his parents that, we would just work. And we looked great on paper. We did. We looked great on paper. I mean, we looked great together. However, I remember telling him, because I remember he would just do like stuff that was self-sabotaging, and then it was a little bit of cheating. And I was just like, and he was also going through stuff in life, and I could just recognize that unintentionally he just didn't have space. And also, you know, when you got a certain connection with God, you can see. I know for me, like when God is taking me through something, I don't even need to be in a relationship, or like I just got to get myself together, and because God is revealing something to me. And so I saw like that was what was going on. It was like even when he was trying to do great things, stuff was just still happening. And as much as he was trying to make it work, he just still had a few more faults. And it was almost like he was just trying to force something. And eventually I was like, okay, look, God is doing something in your life, and you also trying to figure out yourself as a man. And I don't want to selfishly be in the way because of the sake of my feelings in this moment. And if I love you, and I love you like I say I do, I love you enough to just walk away while you're figuring yourself out. And if that means that we never get back together or connect again, then I'm okay with that, because that means that I'm growing, you're growing, and I want nothing more. Like, even though you pissed me off, however, I want nothing more than for you to grow, because I love you that much. And that's when I feel like I began to understand what truly loving somebody is. And a lot of times, I think sometimes in this, I don't want to say generation because I sound old, but like this new idea of relationships where it's just so this tangible, transactional thing, and they think that that's love. That's not love, sweetheart. The way love is more than gifts. Love is more than somebody buying you something or giving you money or them telling you everything that you want to hear. Love is also telling you things that you don't want to hear. Love is also putting that mirror in your face and saying, hey, babe, this ain't working. And love is also saying, like, I love you enough to let you walk away because I want you to grow into the best version of yourself. And so, yeah, that relationship, it was a little toxic. Lord have mercy. But I was like, yeah, no, I want you to grow. And also, I'm being held back too because I'm not being obedient. Because I'm trying to hold on to something, and I start losing money. I'm losing money. My car breaking down. Kid you not. And I don't know why I didn't listen. My car, I'm on my way to drive to go see this person. He lives so far. I'm talking about another state type far.
Damn, Indiana type far?
Farther than that. Don't. And literally, I'm about to get on the road to drive, and I think it was a piece of my car. It's like a bumper piece. It just falls off. And I should have took that as a sign. And I was like, no, it's cool. I'ma still drive. Man, I'm probably like 30 minutes out, maybe 45 minutes out. The thing falls down again, and it's dragging. It started raining. It was everything that could go wrong, went wrong. And it was almost like God kept telling me, like, look, I'm telling you, you need to just go ahead. And this was just like one of those tangible moments, like in your face. And I just wasn't listening because, like, I love this person. That was just kind of like infatuation. But when I knew I really started to develop, this understanding of love, it was when I was like, no, I'm ready to let go because I'm not growing. He's not growing. We just trying to stay. We just trying to stay because it feels comfortable, right? And it feels familiar. And do I want familiar or do I want growth?
Was there like a specific moment that you realized it's time to let go?
I think it was like a year or so had went past. It was less than a year. I feel like it was like 7 or 8 months in between. And I remember, I think his mom or somebody called me down to like come visit for something. They like tricked me. But with that being said, yeah, they like tricked me. They was like, yeah, girl, come visit. Da, da, da. So I did. And I think I had brought my mom that time with me. But needless to say, at that time, I think his family or whatever, they really wanted us to work this out. And I think he really did too, but at that point it was too late. I was just kind of emotionally drained, it was some cheating and stuff in here. But I guess I was just emotionally checked out, and I realized I was like, I don't think I like want this. My idea of what I wanted, I don't even think I want that no more. Yeah, I was like, man, originally I thought I wanted this. I thought I wanted all of this. I did. But then I found myself a little bit more. And I was like, no, I love myself a little bit more than this.
Do you think that the lack of love that you had was the reason that you had stayed for so long?
I think when hurt becomes, when maybe hurt or trauma becomes familiar, you begin to lose a little bit of discernment when it comes to somebody not treating you right. And you accept things that you shouldn't accept because you don't know what, you begin to forget, or you may not know what true love or true care is. I just been used to like holding my breath for somebody to do me wrong, that like I was just not that. I fell in love with a lot of potential sometimes. And then also when you grew up and you begin to see, not begin, but when you've grown up and you've seen toxic relationships and things like that, sometimes you don't even know that that's toxic relationships. Or you just, yeah, when you grow up and you see certain things, you think it's normal. And so that becomes your normal.
There wasn't a healthy model of what love was supposed to look like.
Yeah, I said a lot of work. But yeah, that it wasn't necessarily a healthy model of what love was supposed to look like. And so in my head, he was good. Like I was like, oh man, he got a great job. All these things. Like he got his own car, you know what I'm saying? Like all of things. And no, that ain't enough.
How old were you guys at the time?
I was 23 or 24.
Something that you said while talking was, you need to figure out who you are as a man and who you can be. And I have to love you enough to let you do that. I just don't have to accept the way that you're being with me and walk away.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't have that enough strength. It was hard. It took months. I'm talking about praying to God, like, look, I need you to take this person off my mind, and then also show me. What am I doing or what am I not doing?
And I love that you understood that enough, not only for you, but for that person. Because me at 22, me at 23, there were these expectations of what I needed to be and who somebody wanted me to be. And I couldn't live up to that. And I didn't want to live up to it.
That wasn't for you to do. That don't even have anything to do with you. That got everything to do with the person that's expecting all of those things from you.
And that's the mentality I carried myself with. It was, well, these are your expectations. And I never agreed to them. You just decided one day, this is what I need to do. And if I don't do this, now we're arguing and now you're telling me I ain't shit. And
hey, that's good. Yeah.
And the way that it impacted me again later on was the fact that I didn't love myself enough to understand, like, well, I do have these good qualities and this is why this person's here. To me, I just wasn't shit at this point. But then later down the line, I also started to understand her point of view more recently. I finally understood what she was saying, and the fact that, well, if you love me and you cared about me, you would just do these things naturally.
But you got to communicate. I feel like a lot of times in every relationship, like whether that's platonic, romantic, friendship, in order for a lot of relationships to grow, you got to learn how to communicate. Because also, like you said, she had a certain idea, right? This is not even verbal. She had a certain idea of what she expected of you and what you supposed to do, right? But if she didn't communicate that,
Oh, trust me, I had this argument.
if she didn't communicate that, look, hopefully she don't come for me. But no, if it's not communicated, how are you supposed to know? I think a lot of times we think expectations. We get my reading confused with these expectations. Like we just, if I'm thinking this how they supposed to be. But really, ain't nobody communicating nothing. And that was also, where I had to take accountability, even in like business and stuff, I just ain't know how to communicate, because a lot of times when you going through certain things, like even like when I was a kid, when certain things would happen to me, I just shut down and I wouldn't say. Or sometimes, it's like, shut up, like you, whatever goes on, you don't say nothing. And so eventually that led into my adult life, where it was like, I found comfort in just shut it down and not saying my feelings. And so now I'm mad and I got resentment at this person, when whole time the root of it all is that I never even communicated what I actually expected, needed, wanted. And we just going with the flow. That's the problem. We just going with the flow versus saying exactly what we need and what we want. So then that way we can know in the beginning, hey, are we cool? Are we in a relationship and we gonna figure this thing out? Or like, you got what I need, I got what you need? Or now that you know exactly what I want, and now that I've communicated what I needed, now you have the option of saying, hey, I can give you that or I can't. And that's cool. And we got to be okay with that. I always say, like, sometimes dating or building friendships is like when you're going to buy a car. You know exactly what engine you want. How much gas you need to put in the car, like how much gas you want in the car, all the cylinders, what kind of 4-wheel drive you want to have, Bluetooth, da 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 da. Sometimes you got to look at those type of relationships like that too. It's like, we have lists, but like, does it fully match up with what I ultimately need? No. So then you gonna go keep a car that you don't need, or you gonna purchase a car of stuff that ain't fully in there that you want? No. You're gonna be like, okay, I can just move on to the next one. Not saying people like cars, but Lord, don't come for me. But like, once you begin to look at like the practicality of how it is, you just ultimately you got to figure out how to communicate and figure out what your needs and wants.
Sometimes what you think what you want
ain't what you want.
isn't what you want or what you need.
Do you think that's a part of you getting to know yourself?
It came when I took a trip to Puerto Rico. And I was out there doing an interview, did the interview, was on a beach, watching the sunset by myself. And for so long, part of the reason why that relationship had failed was because my pursuit was this. And my only thing that mattered was this. So when I finally got to Puerto Rico and I'm interviewing artists signed to the same label as Bad Bunny, I realized, I'm like, well, shit, it's just me here. There's nobody around me that like loves what I do as much as I do, and that's okay, right? That's always gonna happen. That's always gonna be the case, because nobody can care about this more than me. But I allowed myself to believe that with success and with this doing well, that's going to change everything. That's going to make me happy in life. That's going to be the reason why I'm fulfilled. And that's when I realized, like, what you want is sometimes not exactly what it is, right? Because I could have, at this point, we're getting millions of views on TikTok or Instagram Reels, whatever it is. People care about it. People love me for the product, but they don't love me for me. And I realized, well, there might be a little bit more to life than just achieving everything that you said that you were going to do, because I can do that 1,000 times over. And I think with the right support system, you're going to do even better than that. Now, did I need that same person in my life? No. But what it made me realize was that it's okay to let people in, and it's okay to have things outside of your passion that matter to you. Because again, when I think back to 21, 22, I believe that I had to care about my passion so much that I would allow everything else around me to self-destruct. I thought that because I loved this so much, I couldn't love anything else. And then I realized, like, well, fuck. Well, who's gonna be here when I win that award? Who's gonna be here when I'm making millions of dollars because I took something that was never supposed to be something and made it everything?
Just listen to you talk. I'm like, I'm rethinking because I'm in a place where I'm just solely focused on my career. I'm not fully lover girl right now. And so in my head, I'm like, I probably ain't gonna do relationships for a minute
Nah, you don't have to.
just because exactly, I don't have to either, but it's also just I love the work I do. And also just like entrepreneurship, you gotta put a certain level of energy, and you have to put a certain level of energy and work into it. And sometimes relationships or relationships, they just don't, it kind of take the back burner sometimes because you got to give it a certain level of energy. You got to give it a certain level of time and care, and intentionality. And it usually, you try, but sometimes it don't work out.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, this is.
I got burned on one of those recently. So
recently?
yeah. Yeah. I got burned on one of those. So
Recently.
I don't know. I'm just kind of back to
single.
I'm back to all right. We're gonna turn back up.
We locking in.
But no, I think that moment was needed at that time because it really showed me like do everything you can to be successful and do everything to achieve everything you want. But don't forget that like sometimes what you really wanted wasn't that thing, right? And it comes with a lot of people I've talked to. People have said, I won a Grammy. That didn't change the fact that everything in my life was fucking falling apart.
The way 2025 went, I was like, dag, I looked around. I'm like, I got to connect back with my friends. I need to get back to like the other hobbies and things outside of just this one thing, because that's what like builds the character. That's what makes me interesting. And you think for a minute, if I'm just doing this all the time, 24/7, that's going to be cool. But one day you look up, you're like, I'm burnt out. I'm not even having fun anymore. Matter of fact, I'm kind of resenting my work or what was originally fun for me. I'm kind of resenting it. And yeah, if I had time and I was giving myself time and space to nurture these other things and hobbies that I wanted to do, this wouldn't feel so weighty. And yeah, so now as the quarter four was going underway or happening, I'm like, let me go hang out with my friends. Let me go and I don't know, read some books again. Let me go write. Let me just actually like have fun. A lot of times, well, not even a lot of times, I know for me, I felt like for like a year and some change, I was just busy without a purpose. And a part of that was also, I'm like, I don't hear God right now. And usually God granted me, he be telling me what I need to do. He give me discernment and wisdom as to what to create. That's like my worship. That's me connecting with God. And I felt a little lost. And I told myself, as the year was wrapping and I'm getting into 2026, I want to be a little bit more present, for the things outside of just this work, because this is what drives the purpose of why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Gives you a story.
It gives me the story. And I'm like, right now I feel a little lost. I feel a little drained. I feel a little burnt out. But now, glad to say I'm having fun. But yeah, like you said, sometimes the thing that you've been fighting for and working hard for, you like, that I don't even know if I like this right now.
You got to allow yourself to experience life and enjoy it. Because I felt that way in the summer where I was like, I'm like, I do this every week. I wasn't excited anymore. I used to get excited when I'd book somebody and I'd be like, oh, this is going to be great. And then I just kind of like lost that excitement. I'm like, well, what the fuck? I'm like, why am I still doing this if I don't love it like I once did? And, as a creative, it's ebbs and flows. One day you're going to hate it. The next day you're going to love it. But it's consistency that matters.
Yeah, you got to know your why. I remember, actually, it's funny you said summer because this summer I was having issues with my wrist. And I honestly thought, I felt like God was just like, I've been telling you to like rest. You ain't been listening. And literally I was supposed to have surgery. Now, I mean, they didn't, obviously the surgery didn't happen, but that was that moment where it's like, it just, it put a pause on me where it was like, you got to sit down. And so that's when I was like, okay, let me go paint. Let me get back to painting.
She wants to live some life.
Let me go sketch. Let me go like take a walk, G. Let me go to the gym and run. Like, let me just do some other things. But it wasn't until my body just like shut down. And that's crazy how drastic or extreme it had to get for me to recognize that I wasn't actually living. Like I was living, but I wasn't living. And I needed to get back to actually living. And it took for something physical to like sit me down for me to see that.
So you mentioned a bunch of different mediums, right? But there were also different things that you had done previously. You were working on sets, hair, makeup. What was it that design allowed you to express that none of these other mediums allowed you to do?
I mean, I was a pretty kind of introverted kid, but I had so many like ideas of things that I wanted to do. Like I wasn't a kid that always watched cartoons and stuff. I was watching like home improvement shows, decorating, America's Next Top Model. But it felt like when I began to design, it was almost as if I was designing these characters that I wasn't envisioning in my head. And I just felt free, similar to like me running track where it felt like nobody could touch me. All the noise was silence. That's what design felt like for me. Just the puzzle pieces just clicked. And I don't know, I'm a lover of music. Some of the friends and the homies that I had when I was in college was like sound engineers and like industrial design majors. But I say sound engineers because just the idea of them taking something and taking like basically nothing and turning it to something just intrigued me. And oftentimes when I'm listening to music or when I would listen to music, it just was like this flow state that I was in. And that's similar to like how I was approaching design. Like it just allowed me to be in this flow state and move to the beat of my own drum. It was just like this melody and it's just like this melody, this certain type of rhythm again that design just gave me. I felt so free. And that's just how it's been.
Was there something you felt that you could only express through design?
My boldness and confidence. A lot of times growing up, I wouldn't say I wasn't as confident. I always felt weird or awkward. Like, I didn't even know boys liked me until I got into college. Like for real. For real. I really did not know for real. I thought it was just like, I thought it was just so weird and nobody could relate. But like design, it just brought this like confidence and boldness out of me that I didn't have words to put to, let alone could even say. But when I modeled or like I put a piece that I designed on, it was almost like it spoke for me before I could even speak for myself.
You use the word weird a lot. Do you feel like you were like weird back when weird was weird and not unique?
Yeah, it was weird. I remember I had a classmate. And she was doing these like, I can let you know like this like my to be honest like da da da. And here I go. I'm like, girl, well, because I think we was in like homeroom together. And I'm like, well, you tell me what you think. Here I go. You tell me side eye. Like what would you say about me? Like, what you think people think about me? And she was like, girl, yeah, like, you just weird. Like, ain't nobody ever seen that, like, your girl, get up out of here. I'm like, oh, snap. Okay. But even when I was in elementary school or middle school, I used to get bullied a lot too. And so that just put me in a state of like nobody, like, I don't know if I could relate. I don't know. Maybe I was like, maybe one day I'll have a glow up. But yeah, weird was weird. Back when I was younger, weird was weird. It wasn't necessarily cool. Now it's like weird is unique, and it's like, oh man, they're so interesting.
That shit became 21 Jump Street.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I remember when I saw that movie, and they're like, this shit is so backwards. And that shit became reality for real. I'm not gonna lie.
For
Where it
real.
became cool. I don't know when the fuck that happened.
Maybe it was after what was it, New Boys and the Jerk, and they had the skinny jeans and the DC shoes. I feel like that's when it began to be like a little transition, because at that time I think Willow Smith, she was coming out. Jaden Smith had came out. It was the paint in the hair. OMG girls, malice behavior. Like I feel like maybe in that little season of time, things weird started to become a little bit more acceptable. But I think maybe Reels or like TikTok came about, and people just began were being able to tell their own stories. And I was like, wow, it's something interesting to watch. And that, like, now we can dive into like why people do what they do or something. I don't know. Also COVID too, because COVID made us we in the house. We got to figure
People
things
became
out.
weird after COVID.
People, they don't even, like, communication wise too. People don't communicate how they used to. A lot of stuff is a little superficial. I got a love-hate relationship with social media.
Clearly you blossomed, and flowers are a huge part of your symbolism, your brand. What is it they're supposed to represent?
Exactly what you said. It's like the blossoming of me. It's been a little bit of like my butterfly story, That's just really what it is. And then also just going back to like the giving their flowers. This is like, it's been my way to give myself my flowers a little bit.
There's a quote where you say, a lot of growth in my career, a lot of growth in terms of how I design and what I want to design and where I'm going. That's the journey that I'm taking people on with this. Outside of your career growth, because that's evident, right? You've been able to do some of the coolest shit in the city.
Oh man, thank you.
What was the story you wanted to tell about your personal growth?
You can come from nothing and turn it into everything. That's really it. I mean, we kind of got into some of it, but like literally came from nothing. My mama didn't have much, but my career and my artwork is just a testament to me make me just staying consistent and just keep constantly going, even if it didn't necessarily make sense. But that's really it. I just kept going.
And something that people don't even really know is the fact that this came out of necessity almost.
Like I said, we couldn't necessarily afford a lot of the stuff. That's why it's a dream, because I'm like, a lot of the brands that I work with, I couldn't afford none of this stuff. Literally, we could not afford a lot of this stuff. So to be able to partner with these brands is a dream come true, but it just goes back to what you said. It's just like a necessity. I didn't have much. So, a lot of things was like hand-me-downs. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I should just make the things, because there is a way that I want to see myself. There is a way that I want to dress. There is a way that I want to express myself. And I don't really have the financial means, nor do I see it. So I'm going to create it.
And you really did that shit. You really took that somewhere else, because, man, there's so many, like, that's me for real giving you your flowers on the fact that, like, you've done such amazing work. Your work is beautiful, and how far you've taken it is just a testament to everything we've talked about, right? Growing and making sure that we believe in God and putting our faith in Him, because it's going to take you places. You just got to believe in it.
You got to believe in it. I tell younger kids these days, they'll ask you like, oh, they think it's just a template to everything. You got to stay consistent, passionate, but also develop that confidence. Because if you got that confidence, can't nobody tell you nothing. Like, literally, if you have the confidence to do it, that's like half the battle. Heck, it's people that, man, you see social media. These jokers be coming up with all type of crazy stuff, but they got the confidence to do it. And the person is like, man, I'm really skilled and talented. I don't know why. Do you got the confidence to like really put in the work to do it? Like, or are you too afraid of what somebody gonna think? You gotta not care. You gotta have, literally, excuse my language, you gotta have a I don't give a fuck attitude. And I'm still in a way still learning that a little bit, but have that confidence to just step out. It don't got to be perfect. You can perfect it later, but you just got to start. And you got to have I don't give a fuck. For real. Like, for real. I remember people used to, I'm laughing because I remember when I first started trying to do masks and stuff, like they call them the shiesties. But when I was doing like the ski masks and stuff, I remember it was a point in time on Facebook, it was going viral, like them little GIFs. I don't remember when it was a GIF trending where you would just create your different videos into GIFs. And I remember one of them went viral and they was like, oh, she's like a Ninja Turtle. What the F? Da, 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 da. And I just took it and ran with it. I'm like, what? Let me dive deep in this bag. Shoot, I was growing up watching Mortal Kombat, Naruto, all them things. Let me dive into the bag of some of that. And I began to just start making stuff that I ain't never seen.
Did you make a turtle shell?
No, I didn't do that. I was just doing a lot of ninja stuff. I was like, I want to be a badass ninja.
That kind of would have gone hard.
You know, it would have gone hard, but it wasn't Halloween at that time.
Then you would have just been looked at as weird again.
I know. Mm.
You know, when it comes to our passions, oftentimes we do get into those flow states. I think about Soul, you know, when he's playing the piano and that man just loses himself in it. And your passions can teach you a lot about who you are. They help you find pieces that you didn't realize you needed to find. They help you heal things that were broken that you didn't know were broken. Right? They say that sometimes you don't realize you need a Band-Aid until you pour alcohol on it. And that's when you feel the cut. For me, doing this has helped me uncover stuff with the relationships a lot of the time. For you, what was it? What part of Chelsea did you find through design?
You know, when I was growing up, my brother, in a way, was looked at as like the strong figure. He was into athletics. I'm talking about he's so popular. All the girls loved him. He just had a certain level of confidence that I didn't necessarily have. And it used to just be like, oh, that's his sister versus me. Like, like that's Chelsea. And so when I decided to pursue art and design, it taught me that I was somebody with a voice, that I didn't necessarily have to be timid, or like that I wasn't timid, that I had something to say. And also told me that I was beautiful. There was a point in my life where I just didn't love myself. And me creating my art allowed me to take time to care about me and care about the story or care about the legacy that I wanted to leave. Yeah, that's what art has done for me.
And those are such hard realizations to make, right? It's hard to look in the mirror and say like, damn, I don't even think I like myself.
Yeah, I was like, dang, I don't even know if I like myself for real. I don't even think that I'm cool, you know? Yeah, and I used to be okay with just living in like somebody else's like shadow or just being somebody else's assistant. I love helping. Like, I loved helping people bring their dreams to life. But one day I looked up and I'm like, dang, if I'm putting all this effort in to help somebody else bring their dreams and goals to life, what would happen if I put that same energy into myself? And I realized very quickly that when I put that same energy into myself, it came back to me tenfold.
Why do you think it took you so long to find this part of yourself?
Maybe I was scared. Maybe I was scared of succeeding. You know? Like, what if it does do good? What I'm gonna do? Yeah, maybe I was a little scared of success. And so, because I hadn't seen what I've been doing or have done before. You know, I didn't grow up with entrepreneurs. I didn't grow up with family members necessarily graduating from college. Like my mom, she ended up getting like she didn't pursue, like she's pursued her education far beyond me now. But when I decided to go back to school, not go back to school, Lord have mercy. But when I decided to go off to college and pursue my degree, that's when my mom decided, hey, I'm gonna do this. And now she's getting her doctorate.
Damn.
But I know I said, dang, why you done blew us out the water? No, shout out to my mama. But yeah, I didn't necessarily have no blueprint. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And so if you don't know what it looked like, I was kind of scared. I'm like, look, I could take this risk and then it can all crumble. You know, thank God it hasn't. But I think I was a little afraid of success. But now I'm like, God, show me how good it can get.
Succeeding was more scary than failing was.
I know, that's crazy, ain't it? Like I grew up like things just would go bad. You know what I'm saying? For us, things always wouldn't work out. So a lot of times, even now, sometimes I hold my breath for something to just go wrong versus versus just letting the air out, taking a deep breath and just waiting for everything to go right. But I was just so used to things failing, so used to things not going right that I'm like, hey, I'm kind of scared because I don't know what it looks like. I don't even know who I'm going to be. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know who I'm going to be or what type of person I'll become if things do go right. And it's worked out. So
You took familiarity and comfortability to a new level.
I did. I was like, I'm gonna just hide over here. I'm just gonna hide, and it's gonna be okay. I'll be little Chelsea, helping, assisting. But then when I saw, the effects of me helping and put it in the effort, I said, wow, it's great. So let me just actually see what it'll do if I put it into myself. And once I did that, the rest is history.
So then in what ways has all of this helped you heal from your past trauma?
I think at some point in my life, the normal was, like I said, things just going bad sometimes, things not always working out the way you want them to work out, people critiquing you, and I always would feel like I'm doing something wrong, even though I wasn't doing anything wrong. But it has allowed me to not fear making mistakes because that's what life is all about. Art is so, it's not linear. It's a lot of different paths, and I would say I haven't fully mastered it, but I've become okay with just making mistakes or things that's not being perfect, and that's okay. Because a lot of times, the result of a lot of my trauma was that I just always thought I was failing. If the smallest thing would go wrong, I'm talking about breaking down, anxiety attack, panic attack. It could be the smallest thing. Maybe I missed like a day before I was supposed to ship an order out, or I made something and like the fit was slightly off. Instead of saying, oh, what's plan B? I was like, the world is crumbling down. I'm failing. Everybody else was right. Like it was bad. It was so bad. It was so bad. But me just continue to pursue my art and like just diving straight into that, it just allowed me to be okay with the fact that I'm not going to get everything perfect. And that's okay. That's the beauty in just living life and growing. Like in order to grow, you got to make mistakes. It's like the olive. They say you got to crush it. You got to crush it in order to get that oil out. You know what I'm saying? That's what happened. Pressure makes diamonds, baby.
Last question I got for you. I think this is the last one.
I mean, it's okay if it ain't. No.
There's a handful of things that I had such a long outline, but we just really
vibed out.
We really went through the personal shit rather than the professional, which I prefer, right?
Yeah.
But to get there, usually you got to hit people with like 10, 20 minutes of, hey, let's talk about your job and how great it is.
No, that's everybody's perceptions, man. Everybody gonna always want to talk about the accolades. It's rare that I find people that want to ask about, like personal, but like actually get to know you. I think I was watching. I think it was Bob the Drag Queen and Keke Palmer, and they were just bringing up. I think it was Madonna, and Madonna. She been famous for hundreds for years, but she been famous
forever and a half.
She been famous forever and a half. But anyway, they ended up talking about how she just got tired of people always talking about her accolades. It was more so like, hey, okay, what's next? Like, what else you gonna ask me? So no, I appreciate the research, but I also appreciate you just taking out time to ask questions to get to know me a little bit. It's a bit mysterious on socials.
When you did this uncovering of your identity, what did you find yourself needing to heal from?
No, it's more so like forgiving myself. I felt like I always was failing. It's crazy. Because if you look at social media or whatever, everybody's like, oh my gosh, you're doing so great, da da da. But it was a lot of internal things that I was feeling and like mistakes that I feel like I made. Granted, the mistakes for me was like, I didn't speak up at this time, or you start thinking back to when, or like I started thinking back to when I felt like I was just so naive to like the industry, so naive to people that would just come into my space. I'm thinking they're friends and they turn out to not be friends or to not care about me. It's just like taking. But yeah, I had to learn how to forgive myself, whether it was extreme or not. Forgive myself for what didn't happen. Forgive myself for maybe there were things that I thought I could have done better, or opportunities that I didn't necessarily take because I was scared to say yes. Fear of success, and the thoughts of like, man, if I wasn't as scared at that time, where would I be now, right? It's just been a lot of forgiving myself, and it's crazy to think. But yeah, this was me like writing things out. I literally had to one day just take out a sheet of paper and say, Chelsea, I forgive you for not X, Y, and Z, and then also there was a lot of moments in there where for probably like a year, I would just create these like voice diary. I mean, not video diaries, where I was just telling myself I love myself on the good days, on the bad day, on the good days, especially on the bad days. Still showed up for that little camera piece and said, I love you, Chelsea, tears and all. Because that's what I had to do. And just realizing, like, I think I heard this quote the other day. Well, no, I just put it up on my, I found it fell out my Bible. And it was like, even bad days are part of being successful. And again, I had to forgive myself for those bad days, well, those thought out bad days that I had.
And the self-forgiveness it leads to so much more.
Once I began to forgive myself, I was able to breathe. It was almost like because I wasn't forgiving myself, I was suffocating a little bit.
You hold yourself back by not forgiving yourself.
It's these invisible shackles that you got on because you just keep holding yourself to your mistakes. Once you begin to surrender and fully like, okay, I forgive you, I love you unconditionally, I love myself unconditionally, you're able to free yourself of a lot.
That was another thing I realized in Puerto Rico. I hadn't forgiven myself for the ways that I failed. And because I hadn't forgiven myself, I wasn't able to love myself fully. Because I'm holding on to all these things that hurt me, that I'm still hurting from. And instead of saying like, well, you'll do better next time, I just kept saying, no, I'm still my mistake. And if you continue to think you're a mistake, you're just this flawed version of who you are rather than thinking of yourself as the best version you could be.
That's a bar. That's a bar, boy. Yeah. And then you realize that you start projecting onto other people. It's like, dang, I don't even know how to love this person because I don't even love myself.
Which is when, you end up treating somebody bad and then you're like, well, fuck.
Last thing was you begin to see how you not healing from certain things show up in like your business. That was the harshest reality I had to face when certain parts of my business just like wasn't growing. Because things that I hadn't healed from was like showing up in different parts of like what I wasn't doing in my business or what I was trying to avoid. And that was a harsh reality. And so it was like, okay, I got to take a moment to step back and get myself together if I'm gonna be successful, if I'm gonna be able to live out the life I said I deserve or want.
So what does that life look like now? What is going to fulfill Chelsea at the end of the day?
Just creating unapologetically. Also, again, getting back to like the confidence to say no, just being okay with not being the nice person. Like I'm so used to being nice. I'm still working on like how do I balance being, being nice and then setting boundaries, but being okay with everything not going perfect, being okay with not being liked always. But also it's just peace, but also continue to have like a heart posture of gratitude. I could say, oh, I want this collaboration and I want this amount of money, but that don't mean nothing if I'm not happy. That means absolutely nothing. I feel like I've had I've worked on some big projects. I've done some cool things. And literally, I want to say one of them years, I just wasn't even fully present. Like I couldn't even remember half of it. And that's just because, again, I just was holding on to so much. But yeah, just peace and continue to have like a heart posture of gratitude. But above all else, just having God in the mix of everything. That's really what it is. That's the life. That's it. As long as God is with me, everything else is gonna map itself out.
You could have everything in the world, you can do all these amazing things, but at the end of the day, like none of that's gonna matter unless you have the right things in place. My fault. I fucked up. But there was one last thing, right? You had this lack of trust in relationships. Is that one of the things you reference when you talk about your own personal issues showing up within business?
No. On person, it was like my lack of forgiveness of those who had hurt me. Even just down to some of the lack of forgiveness with like my parents, sometimes. But yeah, it was a lack of forgiveness and just hurt. And so with that being said, I was shut down. I didn't know how to communicate properly. I had to learn how to delegate because um a lot of times, growing up, I wasn't necessarily a leader per se, and I didn't know how to be a leader. Like I gained that because, sports taught me how to do that, but like for the most part, I didn't know how to be a leader. A lot of times my voice was silenced a little bit. And so that was just due to like things that I had been through and the hurt that I've been through or had gone through. So um I began to just not forgive and was holding on to a lot of resentment. And so in business and also being in the industry, I just didn't trust a lot of people. And then I started finding like even when I did trust, especially like in like relationships or quote unquote people that I thought was my friends, just not treating me right, or taking advantage of me, just I built up like this wall. And that meant that I just went into like hyper survival mode and hyper independent mode. It was like, I'm just going to do everything because I don't trust nobody to handle me or handle what it is that I handle what it is that I'm doing with care. Because nobody has handled me fully with care. Like they haven't handled me great. So I got to learn I got this wall around me so nobody can hurt me and nobody can ruin, what it is that I'm doing, or nobody can bring me back to this place where I felt less confident and didn't feel like I was walking in my power. So that holds you back because anytime you need to do business and stuff, you need a team. You can't do it alone. And I felt like I was a one woman team a lot of times, or I was, because I didn't trust people because I was just hurt.
It's tough out here, man. Building a team is what
I'm still I'm still doing that stuff, but yeah,
it should be so hard, especially when you don't trust people to, they don't want to handle your baby like you're gonna handle your baby.
Yeah, or sometimes they don't just know, sometimes they don't know how to handle you. So you put up this wall.
You got anything you want to plug real quick?
My socials, Chelsea B 128. Brand is House of Chelsea B. That's on all platforms. TikTok, Chelsea B 11. Yeah, I don't know.
Make sure you guys go ahead and check out Chelsea B, House of Chelsea B. Man, you got some dope stuff coming. I appreciate you coming through. Make sure you go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Sad Boys for real. Peace out.